So let's talk for a minute about some of the early pieces here, because one of the big goals here for all neurodegenerative diseases is find better and better ways to see it coming. If we would like not to have anybody progress to dementia when we talk about Alzheimer's, we'd like to catch everybody prevention or SCI. We can make a huge difference. And the same sort of thing for, earliest changes in macular degeneration, earliest changes in PSP, frontotemporal dementia, ALS, all these things. So for Parkinson's, there are several symptoms that can come years sometimes before the motor symptoms. And the motor ones are the debilitating ones until, as Anne said, you get to the point of actually having some cognitive decline. In general, if the cognitive decline is the first thing, it's going to turn out to be Lewy body. If the motor change is the first thing, it's going to turn out to be Parkinson's. And before you get that, there are three things that are important that come up. One is constipation. So in the Hawaiian study, just people who checked the box that said fewer than one time per day, those people were at increased risk for down the line developing Parkinson's disease. Now, that may have been because they were already getting it. They were already affecting their enteric nervous system. Very possible. There's no question. There's important back and forth between the gut and the brain stem in Parkinson's, and that's very clear. Recently, of course, this claim of desulfovibrio as being an associated microorganism in the gut microbiome associated with Parkinson's. We'll see where that goes. And Anne mentioned alpha-syn, the SYN1 biopsy for alpha-synuclein. There's another thing which I think is really intriguing, which is that people are now starting to look at chemical separation with a mass spec sort of approach in sebum. And it turns out that just basically getting some sweat and looking at, you can actually see a pattern for years ahead of Parkinson's. It's quick. It's relatively easy to do. I think that's the future. This came from a woman who actually, a nurse, who said she could smell Parkinson's on people. And she's now been able to do this accurately in many, starting with her husband. And she noticed when things changed. And she noticed this change in smell years before he developed the motor manifestations. And they actually brought her, 20 people, I guess it was 25 people, but, half of them had it, half of them didn't. Not only did she diagnose every single one correctly, but she also then had one that was in the control group. She said, this one has it too. And within 9 months, that person did have Parkinson's. So very, very impressively accurate, and I think could be very helpful. So three things: constipation. The second thing is loss of sense of smell. And so for someone who comes in with anosmia, that's a serious issue. Are they headed for Alzheimer's? Are they headed for Parkinson's? And then the third thing, which is the most specific, but not as common, is REM behavioral disturbance. So when these people say, yeah, when I go to sleep at night, I fling my arms when I'm dreaming. Basically what happens is, when you dream, you have to unhook between the dreams and the actual motor movement. So you do that successfully. For people who don't rehook it up right away, they get what's called sleep paralysis. But the people who don't unhook it because they have brainstem damage, which was what it's associated with, it can be from certain medications you're taking, but a common one is either Parkinson's or Lewy body, which can be 10 or 20 years down the road from this initial symptom. So for anyone who has flinging while they are dreaming, and they'll often have it so that the spouse had to move to a different room, they really should be evaluated. You can look at things like SYN1 now, and you can look at things like fluorodopa uptake and things like that. And I hope pretty soon you'll be able to look at the sebum analysis as well, because that actually, I think, has great potential. So if you have any of those three, important to get evaluated, get in early.